Hey, this is Josh for CG Monastery, and this is part 2 of our introduction to our rigs. And on this video I'm going to be talking about the mrsAnimate, which is our UI for using our rigs. So you can access it via the top menu. You go to Miss and then mrsAnimate. That's going to pop up on my other monitor, of course, and then here we are. So you can also dock this, so I can dock it over here if I want. And I'll just do that for now. So let's talk about context. So the power of this system is context, and what that means is when we select something, things are wired in a way that with our UI we can access the entire character, or as we call them, the entire puppet. So I have just this one control selected. If I want to reset the puppet, I can just go reset all, and that's going to reset my whole puppet. And so that is puppet mode. So when I have this context on puppet, any control that I select is going to be working on the whole character. So if I have just put a couple things going here. Sorry about the sniffles. I got a little cold. So if I want to reset, I can do that. I just showed you that. If I want to select all the controls, I can do that. So I can select all the controls, and it's going to select all the controls of the puppet. So let's go ahead and just work through here, and we'll work our way down. So control context is just that control. Part context is the part itself. So for example, on the arm, if I have this arm selected, and if I'm in part context and I say select, it's going to select just the parts of that arm. I have children selected here, so it's getting my fingers as well, but if I turn that off, it is just going to be that arm. Then I have, let's see, our puppet we talked about in scenes when you have multiple puppets. This is in testing still, but if you have multiple puppets referenced, in theory, this should work, but I haven't done a lot of testing on it yet. On our options, we have our children, siblings, and mirror. And so what that means is if I, so say I wanted to reset, actually this is a key. So I want to key this part. I'm in the puppet mode. It's going to key the whole puppet. Let me delete that. Go back to part and say I want to key here. So you'll see that this this control is keyed. This control is keyed. This control is not. This control is not. And my fingers shouldn't be either. However, if I have part and children selected and then I key, it should key this arm and also my fingers because they're children of this part. So if I look at the character, I have the spine is a part, the left leg is a part, the right leg is a part, the right arm, the left arm, the head and neck, and each finger is a part as well. So when you're working with a part, you're working with just that. So this is my arm. So if I wanted to, if I have mirror selected, and then I say select all, it's going to select also the mirror parts. So it's going to grab the right arm as well. And so if I reset those, it would reset all those controls in that context. So that's anim. So we got, so this is to jump keys. So you can jump keys in context. I'll go back. Oop. So it's going to just jump to the next available key. I'm going to make that so it resets at the end of it to go back to the start, maybe. You can delete keys. You can report your context. Within the script editor will tell you, give you a report of what's in your context. Let's see if I can pop that up real quick. So this is my contextual report. Here's my nodes. Got them listed out. I got 196 controls in context. All right. So selection. So if I'm in this part and I just wanted to select the FK controls, I could do that. I could just select FK, or I could just select IK, or the IK ends, or the segment controls, or the direct controls, or all. Same with reset. The pose library is currently working for me, but crashing on Boxer. So stay out of, or use this at your own behest and warning. I'm working on that. And another thing I'm going to add, so this last pass when I was doing the facial build in October, I added some wiring so that I'm going to add an option here for face. You'll be able to have the face in whatever context you're working with or out of context. So you may see an update soon where there'll be a new option for face, and I'm probably just going to make it a check mark box. And it'll probably be on by default. Let's see, we have our tween. So everyone knows what a tween is, I would think. So I'm in part, so I can average my pose, or I can, so a lot of this uses Morgan Loomis's calls, which we use with permission, and they're great. So if I want to drag that, I can drag that in the viewport. And then if I want to have overshoot, I think it's control, maybe it's shift. One sec. Yeah, it's shift. Shift is overshoot. Let's see. You can also reset. This is a little slow. I need to retool this because that's a little bit slow, but it goes back to defaults for the stuff. Hold some of Morgan Loomis's calls, and again, they work in context. So a lot of this stuff is just adding the functionality of the contextual selection to calls we use for other stuff that are really handy. So let's get to mirror. So if I wanted to flip this pose, I can push this to the other side. That looks great, so good. Or I can pull that from the other side. So again, it's basing its functionality off of the selection. So I have a left control selected, so that is my prime axis, so that's how the push and pull works. I can flip the pose. So it's going to flip it. And so the mirroring stuff is actually using Red 9's calls. So Red 9's tools are included as well in the cgmToolbox. So that functionality is there. I use Mark's meta class as my base class for all the stuff that I'm doing. And his theories and wiring things is all over how we do things with Miss and with all of our stuff. So shout out to Mark and those guys and gals at Red 9. Let's see, sim left, sim right, so you can symmetrize the left or right side. You can select. Let's see, switching. So if I wanted to say switch my pose or my arm from FK to IK, I can say I want IK snap. Oh, I got both arms going. No, I don't. But so this is a good lesson. So I had my children selected, so it snapped all of my fingers to IK as well. So I'm just going to put all these back to FK, and I can just say I want these to be FK on. And I'm going to turn off children, so I'm just working with this. There is some, so because we have FK unlocked, sometimes your snap isn't perfect. So if I go back to FK on the arm, and if I move the arm over here, and then I do my IK snap, it's not going to quite be right, which isn't great. So there's a mode where actually I use the segment handles to force it. So if I go back to FK on, and then IK force, it's actually going to turn on and move my direct handles to match. So you can't get an exact match, but you're introducing direct controls to it, and that was just the best way I could figure out to do it at this time. I'm happy to relook at it later. Let's go ahead and reset that arm again. And let's see, aim is on the head. So if I have the head and I want to go to the IK, that's IK mode, see, aim, snap, there we go. So it's going to snap my head, and so if I like this and I want this to be in FK mode, it's going to aim it there and then it'll be in FK. Let's see, all the FK IK snapping should work with all the modules, spine, tails, everything. Oh, this is handy. So if you're working with your puppet, you can easily turn on and off things. So this is what I was saying in the last video. So if I want to turn on, let's see, nothing in context. So select something, and I can show my subs, and I've got an error, but it's still working. It's because of my head stuff. That's okay. I'll fix that bug. But it's still working. So it turned on all my sub controls over the whole puppet. It also works in context. So if I turn these off and then wanted to just show the arm and children sub controls, I can do that and see. Let's see. I got a bug. I should have only done the arms, so I'll add that to my list of bugs. And so our mrsAnimate UI is currently testing. We've been fleshing out over the last few months. It's not done. And as we add features to this, as you open your rig and you open the UI, you're going to have more and more options available. There's ideas we have, like I said, with the face stuff. There's some other stuff I want to do with the context of time, so you can snap FKIK over time and do actually all these features over time, which it's on my list of things to do. Let's go back to the subhide. So VisDirect is the same thing. Oh, is that why? Was I in? Sometimes my brain doesn't work so hot. Yeah, I was just in the context of Puppet earlier. It's not a bug, it's just user error. I was being not smart. Okay, so we can do our directs, our direct controls. So there you go. We can do our viz roots. I don't have any selected, viz roots, and then they're going to show up. Go back to Puppet, hide all that, hide all that, hide all that. Skeletons, the same thing in our Puppet mode. We can, I think I just have that off though. Yeah, so there's a skeleton. So I can turn it off, lock it, or turn it off or on. In Geo, I don't know if I have this in the right Geo folder. No, I don't have the Geo folder, or not Geo folder, but group. Anyway, and then I have my proxies. If I want to turn on my proxies, I usually turn on with a lock, and you can see the proxy. And if I go back to my channel editor and turn off mesh display, you'll see our proxy asset, which can be faster when you're just looking around, playing around with stuff. I think that's it for this overview. Oh, no, it's not. So another thing we do, I was talking about a little bit with the last video, but we have space options. So you can actually, so if I want to change this to a different space, I can do it here. So if I want to change this to the cog, so now this foot's in the cog space, or I can change it to whatever I want, back to world. But this is also contextual. I can do this multiples. So if I have this selected and this selected, and they both have options, I can do a multi-change space, and the UI will actually find common options, or I can do each one. So it's the same call. I just use it in multiple places. It's factored, so I can refactor, I should say, so I can do it in different places. And the same thing with the arm. So if I put this arm to IK mode, oh, I'm in Puppet. Josh, that was silly. Okay, anyway, it's fine. I just put everything in IK. But yeah, so if I have this selected and this selected and this selected, you'll see that the options there's not that many options in common, but the ones that are in common will show up. And so I can change all of those to Puppet space if I want. And so now they're not going to follow the cog. They're going to follow the Puppet. So what Puppet is the master control. World space is actually world space, so it doesn't follow anything. So if you're in world space, that's what that's doing. I do have some other few things I'll hit real quick. So we have our snapping, and maybe I'll just save this for another video. Yeah, this is getting long. I'll save it for another video. That's what I got. So if I want to reset the rig, I just go to Puppet, and then I reset all, and my Puppet's back to default. So there we go. Intro to mrsAnimate as of November 26, 2018. I'm sure it will change again soon with more features and bug fixes. Thanks.